Welcome to USA Global TV and Radio, where our mission is to provide education, entertainment, hope, and inspiration. USA Global TV and Radio connects you with experts and audiences all around the world every single day to help you succeed in business and to live a richer life. Visit us at usaglobaltv.com to learn about career and life-changing training and mentoring programs like the Listening Mentor. Subscribe to our newsletter to stay informed about our special programs and offers. Discover how you can become a guest on one of our shows or a host or producer of a USA Global TV and Radio show of your very own. That's USA Global TV and Radio, where the doctor is always in.
Hello, everyone, and welcome home to USA Global TV and Radio. I'm Dr. JACALYN KERBECK, and our show today is presenting Pet Psychic AMINAH. Our topic is the top 3 tips to keep your pet safe. This is a sizzling hot topic. Let us welcome and celebrate Pet Psychic AMINAH as she joins us today from California. Hello.
Yes, and guess how the weather is?
I bet it's sunny and hot.
Well, we're not too hot yet, but
it's sunny.
And luckily the leaf blower, if you guys are enjoying that, he's off in the distance having a good time with the leaves.
Oh, good. I can't hear anything. I've noticed that when I go for a walk, that all of a sudden someone starts blowing the leaves or cutting a lawn. I'm thinking, where did they come from? It's just great. So,
well, and I don't understand why they put in trees that are the messiest trees, I think, on God's green earth, because they're not only got the giant maple leaves, they got the big giant seed balls. And I swear, if you're walking under these trees at any regular time, you could be beamed. And it would hurt because they're really solid little set seed pods. And this is like, why? You have 100 trees to choose from. You chose this. They're trying to keep people employed. They're doing a really good job.
You said it, that's for sure. You know, Pet Psychic AMINAH, I would love to just take a moment and for you to share with people who are joining us for the first time, because we always have new people. You are so much more than a pet psychic, and you're helping people in so many ways, whether it's through training or public speaking or talking about coexistence or sustainability. Tell us a little bit more about your background.
Well, thank you so much. I really appreciate that I had a mother that saw her children's interests. I'm the youngest of 5 and made sure we were exposed. So from the time I could remember, I have been animal crazy. That's just the nicest word possible. I would talk to the ants. I would commune with the mosquitoes if I could, but they don't hold still long enough just to say, stop biting me. But everywhere I went, I was outdoors. Now we have an athletic family. My dad was a coach. So I got exposed to a lot of topographies. I've seen all of the United States, including Alaska and Hawaii. And I've traveled extensively as an adult. So what that brings is layers of information and input of the way you do it in one country is not the same as you do it in another country, and not the way they look at nature and animals. So I want to bring to everybody this plethora of education that I continue to every single day. I love learning something new from my client, from guests, from Dr. JACALYN, from this platform specifically. There's so many great shows to learn things from. So what you're getting in me is, it's fun to say, yes, I'm a pet psychic. That's God-given. I just always thought everybody heard what I heard with animals talking. And when I started as an adult saying, stop doing that, he doesn't like it. Didn't you hear him say he didn't like that? And the funny looks I get, and I went, wait a minute, they don't hear what I hear. So I have a degree in animal science, and I've also spent time in a wildlife sanctuary. These were lions, tigers, bears, medical research monkeys and chimpanzees and many, many other types of animals. I've surrounded myself. I am lucky enough to have a parent. My mom made sure that as a child, I was exposed and able to interact with wildlife all the time. She knew people. She knew a lot of people and made sure that I had that. As a young teenager, I have a picture of myself in Sunset Magazine, and I'm holding, I don't even remember what I'm holding anymore. It's either one of the snakes or one of the other animals that they were caring for. So I have a lot of experience, and I continue to grow that every single day. Why do we talk about plants? Why do we talk about the environment on this platform and so many others? Is because it all affects the animals and the plants that I love and I am passionate about making sure their lives continue. Because if you want to eat anything or breathe, you need nature to survive healthy survival, not just survival. We all know people that get terribly sick or lose the ability to walk or speak or something, and they have other gifts, they have other hands, fingers, toes, abilities to compensate. The natural world doesn't. We're running out of those other choices because of our lifestyle of constant one-use containers and the chemicals we choose to spray everywhere, everywhere. So that's what I'm hoping to encourage you, always with positivity. I really believe in it. Encourage you to say, there might be a different way you can do this. There's a different way you can keep your cats, specifically, hopefully not the dogs, but the cats from jumping up on your dining room table. Dr. Jackie, you want to know my best tip for keeping cats off counters and dining room tables?
Yes, I think it's receipts, or go ahead, tell us.
Foil. Aluminum foil. Because you can get it off the roll flat, but I suggest you crinkle it up a little, maybe a lot, depending on how big a space. And I have tried everything on 2 of my cats that I had to keep them off the kitchen counters. I'm sorry, you're in a litter box. On the kitchen counters, no. I'm not into that disease. So what foil does is the cat or the dog, if you have a smaller one, will jump up and they'll get these tiny, tiny little pricks on their feet, and they'll find out the countertop is not a safe place. Cats don't jump up to places that are not stable. So the foil shocks them by poking them in the feet. No injuries, hopefully. They're very small. And it shocks them that, wait a minute, this counter is not stable. We thought it was stable. These tricks, everybody has foil usually. Go to the dollar store, get some foil, and gently roll it all up, tape it down in certain places. I promise you, after a while, they will not get up there again, because they now think of the counter as unstable area. They don't know when you're going to put that crazy bite stuff back down. They don't know what foil is, but for them, it's like getting bit in the feet. So it's easy, it's semi-free, and it's not going to bring a chemical into your house. It's not going to kill your children or your plants or poison anybody. That's what I'm talking about. Shock and awe is so easy. I have put boxes up on boxes to try to keep one of our pets out of a dangerous area that was not stable, like getting on a coffee table or something like that. And so if I made it unstable, they don't want anything to do with that because they know they have one life, not 9. I don't know who decided that one, but not 9 for the cats. These are simple tips that you're going to hear on our show. These are the simple tips that I want you to walk away having action plans that you can do right now and not necessarily have to go out and buy some kind of really expensive equipment. There is time for that.
Fantastic.
But not on this show.
Not on this show, and not today.
Not today.
Today we're talking about tips to keep your pets safe. And I had noticed you posted something on LinkedIn. You're always giving some really great education over on your LinkedIn postings. what are we talking about when we're using the phrase to keep your pet safe? Safe from what? From whom?
Pretty much people. That's the short answer. But the detail of the answer is why people? Why humanity? Well, so many of us are not understanding that we have to have plants thriving to breathe. And the animal and the nature world need that also. And it's not just sun or housing or any of that. It's all of it. It's all of it. The trees are filtering our air, which we are poisoning every single day with all the chemicals and the way we live. And yes, they're trying to get, the EPA is trying to get regulations on everything, but we've done so much damage in the 20s, 30s, 40s, 50s, and I'm talking about the 1920s, 30s, because we didn't know. We didn't know. Okay, we now know, but we're still moving too slowly. We're still going, oh, what does that matter? And then somebody throws a wrapper out at their car. And I don't care if it's a teeny tiny little gum wrapper, because you're one person out of billions on the earth. And if only a quarter of those billion throw a wrapper, we're just covered in wrappers because they don't biodegrade. So we need the coexistence of the animals. We need the coexistence of people. So what I'm talking about is, how do we recognize what the other person needs? It's the same thing as, let's say you have somebody come visit your home and they're vegan. They don't eat meat. Are you going to prosecute them and say, well, I only made steak. I don't know why you don't. And people do it. You and I know that. People do that. But stop a minute and say, it might not be my choice, but for some reason, this is a health choice for them. And can't we respect them, whoever they are, the person, the animal, the nature, and say, I can coexist with you. Now, we can't coexist with every human. We all get that. So then choose a path how to do that, how to get through to that coexistence. It's literally the 10th hour. We're literally on our 10th hour. If we don't make the change, the world will fill it for us.
I agree with you. Absolutely. And to expand upon that for our friends who do have pets, whether it's dogs or cats, it is hard to believe, but there are some people who will steal your pet. There are some people who might find a lost pet and not take any action to return them and may just keep them. And there are also natural disasters that take place across the world and people just leave their pets. They have no choice. Or seemingly they think so. So what are some tips? Our topic is top 3 tips to keep your pets safe. What's one tip that comes to mind? And can you explain also what is the situation in which this would apply?
I'm going to start with what you just gave a great starting beginning. This is for all pets, even when they're in your home and they stay in your home, because some point, sadly, animals will get to the door while your friend's going out the door and they're out and they've gone. So prevention is the key here. And that would be microchipping. When microchipping came out, it just, for me in the profession, I'm going to speak just for myself, it was just like a dawn of light saying, oh my gosh, thank goodness. This is literally, I'm trying to find something on my desk that would match it. So this is a plug to a computer. And do you see how teeny, tiny that little thing is at the end? That's the part of the plug. That's the size of a chip at the biggest that goes between the shoulder blades of any animal. If you would like to have your animal returned, this is the best way for that to happen. Let's say you have an extraordinarily fun, loving, expensive, whatever favorite animal to the whole neighborhood, or somebody has decided to steal it. It is really, really difficult to get the chip name changed without proof that they own the animal. There's got to be documentation, especially if you're talking about purebreds. So if somebody steals your animal, or God forbid they get hit by a car or whatever, something happens and they are not in your care, the first thing the animal shelters are going to do, and the really exciting part is they're trying to get more of these detection guns in the hands of police, first responders, fire departments, so they can check also. There's so many times there's a car accident and they didn't even know there was a pet in the car, and the animal goes running. The more people who have the ability to read these chips, the better we are. It's like giving your cat or dog or ferret or bunny or whatever a license, a driver's license. They are now legal able to get lost and be found. And I hope that never happens. But we all have driver's license so we can prove we can drive. But it's also an ID at the airport. It's also an ID to get in and with your doctor and this and prove who you are. Nobody needs to do a background check on you for proof who you are when you have that ID. Think about it for your pets. It can save lives, but even bigger, it can get your pet back to you, not back to the neighbor who claims it's theirs or whatever. It's really, really tough to get them out. You literally surgically have to remove these. And they're the size of grain of rice. They're that tiny. You can feel them if you're looking for it. But the professionals in the field and the shelters, they have wands. And what we're trying to do is get them into police departments also, is to have wands, because animals get stolen all the time, especially if you're going to be with a cute, cuddly, or a purebred. Yeah, somebody see you walking down the street and then you don't know that they followed you home to figure out where you live, and your dog's out playing in their dog yard or whatever. It's one of the most heartbreaking tasks I have to deal with, is pets that have been stolen, not just walked away, not just went out to play. But if you have a chip, your proof that that animal is yours, even if it's removed, you have strength in the chip, because you can remove them. But we're talking about a surgical cut to have that taken out. So somebody's got to go to a great deal of length to get your pet to have that change, because the paper track is there.
And let's be honest, there are some pets, when you mention pure breeds, they are thousands and thousands of dollars. So in addition to how much you love the pet, you also made an investment and probably had their shots done and whatever other expenses. So that's really important. So thanks for sharing that first tip. I think this is a good place to take a quick break and hear from some of our sponsors, and then we'll come back and hear the other two tips. How does that sound?
Absolutely.
All right, fantastic. Here we go. Stay with us, please.
Hello and welcome to USA Global TV and Radio. This is It's Your Healthy Lifestyle show, hosted by the founder of this platform, Dr. JACALYN KERBECK, and myself, Roland Friedl. How important is your health and fitness to you? We show you how you can easily eat healthier every day, how you can improve your fitness and recover much quicker after your exercises and workouts. Families will learn how to optimize their children's health and nutrition. And finally, you will also hear how you live a long, healthy and fit life into your old age. Join us here on It's Your Healthy Lifestyle.
I just can't take it anymore. I am so tired. I am so frustrated and burnt out. Why won't anyone listen to what I have to say? Yet I look on social media and everybody's smiling and having a great time. Meanwhile, I feel totally alone with my world rushing by. Guess what? Great news. You have a choice. You can change the dynamic by learning how to listen at an elevated level yourself through the power of listening educational courses. Can you imagine from where you are today to having a life overflowing with abundance? It's possible. Learn how to listen at an elevated level. You'll have deeper connections, better relationships, and more authentic conversations. Start today. Go to usaglobaltv.com, education, and learn how to listen. We have courses and children's books. Let's work together to learn how to listen. Hello, and we're back just like that. I think that is the 10th time today I heard that song. Yay. So, this is presenting Pet Psychic AMINAH, and hello, I present her. And our topic is the top 3 tips to keep your pet safe. AMINAH just shared one of them, which is microchipping. What are the other 2? Do tell.
It is going to, I really want to zoom in on the fact that if you are dealing with a designer breed, a custom-made pet, a service animal, any of these animals that are serving a purpose more than, let me say, my strays that we have adopted. Now, we love them to death, and they are as important to us as any of these other working animals. But can you imagine if you have a guide dog, if you have an animal that helps you manage your depression, and depression kills people. It's really important to understand. I'm using that as an example, but there's also epilepsy. There's also all types of seizure issues that you have a support animal. They don't judge. They don't care what you smell like or what medications you're on. So a support animal could be your household pet that no doctor said this is your support animal, but it is. So I want to say that is important. Make sure that these animals have paperwork that you can get, or you have paperwork on them. And guess where we all have paperwork? We don't have to go out and get a purebred animal to get proof that this is our pet. Can you guess, Jacqueline? What is the one place everybody can get paperwork on their animal to prove they own it?
Okay, I know I'm gonna get the answer wrong. The vet?
Yes.
Okay, yes. Yes. What do I win? What do I win?
Because everybody eventually has to take their vet for a well care or a vaccine or a fix it up, they chewed their nail too low, something. Just like us, we need to go to the doctor. And then the doctor has paperwork on us. Gosh, they have acres on me and you. So we fill up the whole thing. Animals are no different. So chipping is absolutely universal as far as if they leave your house and run to the next city. I happen to live in the Bay Area. That could be San Francisco. It's a really long run. But if they're picked up or dropped off or picked up or dropped off, whatever, you need to have those long distance fix. But while you're getting that appointment to get your animal chipped, because now pet stores are doing it, vets are doing clinics for it, there's a lot of places you can look. While you're waiting to do that, if you haven't already, and a lot of breeders are now chipping their animal. so that if they get dumped, they get put in a shelter, the shelter calls them, and the breeder gets the animal back and tries to rehome them. But they were that committed to the breeding process and these animals having good homes. So there is that relationship. But you can have, of course, a collar, but it doesn't always stay on. Microchipping is your answer. It is nearly too impossible. You literally have to cut it open to get this little piece of rice out. So microchipping is really important. Having good recall, having a relationship. It's really great when you know your neighbors. We really have missed that. I missed that as a kid. My mom knew everybody. I knew everybody. Too bad, because I couldn't get away with anything. But nowadays, Dr. Jacalyn, do we know the third house down from the block?
There's no
No,
conversation.
because I would have talked to him last night and told him to shut the dog up.
I can't. I've moved, I think, 14 or 15 times. And I have to tell you that there was always neighbors. I didn't know any of them. Nobody spoke to one another. And listen, I was part of that too. Just from a fear factor, like a woman living alone, that, you don't want to get to know anyone. So we've got microchipping, and then we've got having the documentation from your vet that you actually own this pet. What's the third one?
You need to be able to have training with all your pets. If it's a gerbil, good luck. They're
Gerbil training, 5 o'clock.
Exactly, 101. They're going to ground. Look at all the holes. Probably if they're full of things, they're there. So the next thing is having that really great, solid relationship where there's not a reason to run. Some animals are bored to death. They want the excitement, they want the entertainment. Then you need to acknowledge that and get them involved in something. My shepherd, when we adopted him, dumped in the backyard, we listed our other shows, I've talked about him many, many times, and a 6-foot septic tank hole where he was living. So I had small children. He had to be trained up. I couldn't just bring him home and say, oh, he's fine with my kids. No, he's a German Shepherd. I don't know. So build those relationships, because a kind, loving, balanced, which means there are rules. If you've ever raised any kind of animal or child, there's got to be rules so that you understand. I love you enough to say, don't dump off that cliff. That's not good. That's a really bad idea. With an animal is the same thing. When they are loved, their cages are cleaned so they don't get ill, and they are spent time with, there is a relationship. When push comes to shove, let's say your animal gets stolen and they've got some kind of vet proof that it's their dog because they've had it for 6 months because you haven't found it, but the chip says another thing and the police are going, I don't know what to do. If you're both standing at the end of the driveway and you call your animal to you, who does it come to? It comes to the one that they loved, the one that they miss, the one that they want to be back with. And be careful, it could be the neighbor who just stole your dog.
What if the neighbor has a giant steak?
Yeah.
Or something? You never know.
Steak as in put in ground. Yeah, it could be. But love even conquers steak. I have seen animals starve with their owners and still hang out and do that because they had love. They had commitment. They had literally the food off their plate. I've talked about a couple of homeless people I've worked with, and they literally had this much food for the week. And they didn't know when their food was coming again, but they always gave half to the dog. And with that comes the energy and the intention of what you're saying with that gesture. What are you saying with that gesture? I pick you over me. I'm not saying I advocate for any of the one way. I'm trying to give you a plethora of ideas to try what works for you. But know that love and understanding and compassion pretty much wins the day for all of us.
It sounds like a song. I love that. Love
The
and
carpenters probably
compassion
wrote it somewhere.
wins the day for all of us.
Exactly. But
We do
animals are
have
no
a
different.
comment. Sorry, I just want to say we do have a
No, that's
comment. I don't know
fine.
who this is from.
I
Love the
love the
background.
background.
Thank you.
Great.
That's fabulous.
And
So,
go
so
ahead.
you share these 3 tips, and I would say that, in my understanding, this is really helpful for almost all types of pets. Now, what if you have an unusual type of pet? You are someone who is owning a snake, or you have an iguana, or some other type of pet. Will these same things apply? Can you microchip an iguana?
You can, but you have to go to a special doctor. You have to figure out the legalities first about you owning an iguana and all
I
of those.
love that you said that, by the way. That's really important. I think you
Yeah.
should say that again. It just depending on where you live, you can't just own
Yep.
any type of pet because some of the pets are not indigenous to the area and they've been brought out, smuggled in from other countries,
Right.
correct?
And iguanas are one of them. And they're really decimating the wild population because they're taking breeders out of the pool. So remember, diversity is king. Diversity in humans, people, animal, plants is how we all survive. So everybody thinks, oh, we should have maybe an all Caucasian world. No, first of all, it's very boring. Second of all, that isn't how the world's put together. We are meant to come from different countries and different cultures and have different color skin and speak different languages because that creates world, a diversity. It's no different out on the plains or in the forest or in the desert. Animals need diversity. That is why a wild animal understands he eats one rabbit, not all of them. And it takes a lot of work to catch the one. So you might have fish one day and you might have rabbit the other because it's what they can catch. When people get involved and they say, oh, well, it's no big deal. I'm just going to let my cat roam around the neighborhood. What cats do when they're out is hunt because it's fun. It's part of their DNA. But guess what? They're decimating the bird population because now we have an imbalance of too many carnivores going after the birds than just the natural way that these birds would already be hunted down by a hawk or a larger bird or some other wild animal. We're killing the balance. And the world is all about balance. It's about you have so many people, so many animals, so many carnivores, herbivores, omnivores, all of them. And then you have balance of what kind of plants you have and what kind of wildlife you had. That's why it is so, so, so important that not only did you have your animals chipped, it's so easy now. Every shelter that I'm aware of, some of the smaller ones, maybe not, have a reader and you can get your pet back. I can't stress this enough. Even if it's an in-home pet, the heartbreak would be one day the delivery guy comes to bring a package into the house and the cat darts out. What happens when your neighbor decides, and I mean, it could be your neighbor 3 blocks down or 6 blocks down or next door, finds your cat, falls in love with your cat and says, oh, well, we couldn't find whose it was. There's no microchip, so it's mine. And you just lost your cat because you can't prove. Well, you have a lot of pictures. Sure, you can go different ways. And if you have a good legal fund, you can do that. Why wouldn't you just put this teeny tiny little chip in their shoulder? The shelters do it. The vets will put it in. And then you just got to keep your information current. If you move, remember to change the address on the chip also. But it's about all of us saying we all matter. We're all there. But what happens when we have a pet and we want to keep it safe? These are the steps that you need to take first.
Absolutely. Yeah, these are 3 hot tips that you just shared. And from just listening to what you're saying, they're easy to do, but
Absolutely.
people actually have to take that effort, because we hear stories, and I know you hear them all the time, of someone's pet is gone and it's like a huge part of their heart is missing,
Right.
and they're putting up signs and they're running around and doing all these things after the fact, as opposed to being spot
Being
on before.
right. Be preemptive. Be preemptive. If you know, you're going to be gone all day and you've got all this work to do and you got to go to this organization or that organization or whatever, and you're going to run around all day long, bring a sandwich. Peanut butter and jelly lasts, I don't know, forever. I haven't tried. But you could put energy bars in your bag. Do we just run out the door and hope our hair is clean and the shirt doesn't have last night's dinner on it or something? Do you just do that? No, there's planning. Animals and your pets deserve the same courtesy of planning for their life, planning for their illness. If you adopt a pet and yet your budget is so tight that, God forbid, there's somebody who gets sick, then think about, I want people to have pets. So I don't want to make this undoable. What about $1 a week? You put it in the cookie jar, and that's the if my pet gets sick fund. It could be that simple. $1 a week might be doable, but $600 for surgery because they got hit by a car and they were running around outside? Maybe not. Now we're choosing euthanasia over recovering the pet. And there is a choice at that point, but would you want to have to do that because you didn't put $1 in a jar for a week? I'm just trying to give you simple ways to plan ahead. Everybody thinks in the grand scheme, I need a lawyer, I need a vet, no, I'm the one who's going to give you the MacGyver stuff. If you don't know that term, look it up. It's very fun. I want you to think about, how do I get from A to Z with my income, with my ability, with who I am? And that's what I honor. You have to honor the person who you are and the pet you have, or the one you want to get. So you need to start putting it away. $1 a week, that's $4 a month, $8 in 2 months. It might not sound like a lot, but what I'm banking on is that you don't need it for 12 to 24 months, and you have a little bit more money, and the vet can see that you will make payments or something, and you aren't just left out there because I didn't do anything. If I bring it up, I want that kernel of thought to say, okay, I really want a pet, but I got to wait till I save enough money. Maybe that's the route you need to take. Then volunteer your time at the shelter. Volunteer your time for catch and release. If you don't know what that is, we'll talk about that on another show. Volunteer your time to love animals that maybe weren't lucky enough to have a pet owner. There's plenty out there. Do we feed strays? A lot of the time. And you know why? Because I don't want them eating the native birds. I don't want them forced to hunt wildlife, because all our neighborhood where I live and probably you live, let's say there's 10 houses in a row and you got 10 cats in each. Do you think the bird population, any native population of anything, is going to survive if every cat goes out for dinner every night? No. It's the same thing with deer. If we have so many hunters, why is the hunting industry for people now regulated strongly? Because you got people running around with guns and shooting deer and then going, I just want the head. Oh, I want a trophy on my wall. Or I just want the hooves. I'm going to grind them up. What a waste. And then a bear and her cubs go hungry. And you're like, oh, who cares? It's a bear. Well, you're going to need that bear when the whole eco-cycle gets going. You need that management, because the bear will take down a sick, old animal. They don't usually go after the young. Not enough meat. And they don't want to take that one. They want the sick and the old. They're easy to get. But what
it is an interesting system, how everything is all interrelated.
It's a circle. And we are mucking it up big time. We are mucking it up big time because we want. And what I want to leave everybody with is compassion. Compassion to say, I can coexist, and it won't affect my party tomorrow night, or how my friends think I'm cool, or I just don't know how to do it. I'm trying to give you a simple, easy, what you can do today or tomorrow. If you decide to put a bird feeder out, make sure it's good for the birds in your area. Don't just go buy salted nuts. That would be terrible. The salt is terrible for them. You need to go to a pet shop that sells wild food. The same with our animals here. You need to know what's best for yours and what you can do next. We're here to support.
Fantastic. Thank you so much for sharing these 3 tips to keep your pets safe. And how do people reach out to you? How can they work with you? How can they follow you?
bridgingworlds.us. I mean that literally and figuratively. That's how I chose the name. I want to bridge the world between you and people in general and the animals. I'm very, very, very fortunate to hear what animals are thinking and saying. When you talk to your animals, people like me can talk to your animals even easier because they're used to talking to people. So I have 3 cats and they all speak in pictures or words, and I know what they're talking about. Am I confused sometimes? Yes, of course, everybody gets confused in a conversation. But you too can learn what a tipped ear means, a wagging tail or a straight tail, fur up, fur down. And that's what I'm hoping to support, is your education on how to coexist. I would rather see me as an animal lover. I'd rather see your animals kept inside. Dogs is a different thing. You put them on a leash and go for a walk. If you train your cats, you can do the same. But it's the personality. It's going to matter if your cat likes it or not. There's strollers for pets, dogs and cats. Basically, it's the same stroller, and you can take them for a walk safely. Cats on the loose decimate the bird population. I cannot stress that enough. I've said it twice or 3 times now here. And that's not what we need. There's enough wildlife out there getting and eating the birds. If our house cats are doing the same, then we're out of birds. They don't recover. There's just too many carnivores. So be wise out there and be intentional. That's what we're hoping to educate everybody on. So many topics here, is that you know and make a better choice.
And for those of you who are not aware, you can go over to our YouTube channel, which is USA Global TV and Radio. You can look for the playlist presenting Pet Psychic AMINAH, and you can watch all of our episodes, well over 100 and some now. So thank you so much, Pet Psychic AMINAH. I hope you have a beautiful weekend, and thanks for the value that you brought to our audience again today.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Bye for now. Happy weekend. And thank you to each and every one of you who are watching on the live or the replay. We really do appreciate it. I'm closing out with just one request, that you save the date for my 60th birthday party that's going to be online. It's also a dual celebration with our book launch, which is the 3rd in the series of the amazing adventures of Lady Ella. As of this morning, Lady Ella Has Afternoon Tea in London was still an Amazon #1 new release, where you actually put the ebook out in December. So you'll be able to get the paperback book on March the 26th. So you can actually sign up to join the birthday party and be part of it. Drop by and just say hello, maybe share your favorite birthday memories. So thank you again. That's March 26th. You can find out more information on our website, USA Global TV and Radio. That concludes our broadcasting for this week. So thank you to each and every one of you. We are broadcasting from Mondays through Fridays, and I hope that you will go and book your session and join us on any of the shows that we offer. Go to usaglobaltv.com/book your session. That's all for now. We'll see you again on Monday. Take care. Bye.